Every life that has ever lived began from a single sacred moment, weaving a vast, endless tapestry across the horizon of time. Somewhere, a hand pressed against stone and left its mark.
Every single human being who has ever walked this earth had a mother. Your mother had a mother. Her mother had a mother. And her mother had a mother. Go back far enough, and you reach her. So who was she? When did she live? What did she look like? Did she laugh? Did she grieve? Did she love? And here's the question nobody warns you about. Was there even a first human at all? Science has an answer to this question. Religion has an answer. And then there is a third answer, one that neither side talks about, one that took me completely by surprise. We're going to look at all three today. And by the end of this video, I promise you, the way you think about being human will be different. Let's go back to the beginning. For most of human history, this question had one answer. And that answer didn't come from a laboratory. It came from something older. It came from faith. Before there were cities, before there were kings, before there were borders, or books, or names for the stars, there was a woman. And every story ever told begins with her. The first woman of the Bible. In the book of Genesis, the oldest book in the Abrahamic tradition, she is the second human created. But in many ways, she is the first who truly acted. Her name was Eve. In Hebrew, Chava, which means mother of all living. God formed her from the rib of Adam, or so the text says, and placed her in a garden called Eden. Perfect, peaceful, complete. But Eve was not content to simply exist. She was curious. She reached for the fruit on the forbidden tree. And in doing so, she changed everything. For centuries, Eve was taught as a cautionary tale. The woman who brought sin into the world. The one who caused the fall. In Islam, she is called Hawwa. The Arabic root of her name means living or breathing. In the Quran, Hawwa and Adam are created as equals, companions for one another, neither created before the other in terms of spiritual standing. Both were warned about the forbidden tree. Both approached it. Both were responsible. And both were forgiven. In Islamic teaching, Hawwa is not the source of humanity's burden. She is the mother of it. There is a tenderness in how she is remembered, not as the one who failed, but as the first woman who loved. In Hindu tradition, the first woman is Shatarupa, created by Brahma, the god of creation. She was so extraordinarily beautiful that Brahma could not stop looking at her. And wherever she moved to avoid his gaze, he grew a new head to keep watching. It is a strange story, uncomfortable even, but beneath it is something remarkable. Shatarupa, whose name means she of 100 beautiful forms, was not passive. She moved, she resisted, she refused to be simply observed. She was, from the very first moment of her existence, her own person. Different cultures, different gods, different names. But look at what every single tradition agrees on. The first woman was not simple. She was not background. She was not decoration. She was the one who moved the story forward. In every tradition, without her, nothing happens. Religion could not build its story of humanity without putting a woman at the center of it. Now, let's enter the scientific view. For thousands of years, faith answered the question of where we came from. Then came science, and science did something faith never claimed to do. It went looking for proof. Physical, measurable, undeniable proof. and what it found was stranger than any story. Approximately 300,000 years ago, in what is now Morocco and Ethiopia, something happened. Not a single event, not a moment anyone witnessed, not a birth that anyone celebrated. Just a very slow, very quiet change in the shape of a skull, in the size of a brain, in the way a creature walked across the ancient African earth. Scientists would eventually give this creature a name. Latin. 2 words. Homo, human. Sapiens, wise. Wise human. Us. But Homo sapiens didn't appear from nowhere. We are the last chapter of a very long story. Before us, there was Homo heidelbergensis, our most direct ancestor, lived between 700,000 and 200,000 years ago. Larger brow, smaller brain, but recognizably almost one of us. Before that, Homo erectus, the first of our ancestors to leave Africa, to walk into Asia, into Europe, into the unknown, lived almost 2 million years ago. Before that, Homo habilis, the first tool maker, the first creature to look at a stone and think, I can use that. And before all of them, Australopithecus, the famous Lucy, 3.2 million years old, walking upright, but with a brain not much larger than a chimpanzee's. Each one slightly different from the last. Each one a small step in a journey that took nearly 4 million years. A journey that ended, or perhaps began, with us. The paradox, the line that doesn't exist. But here is where science runs into a wall. A fascinating, maddening, beautiful wall. If we evolved gradually over millions of years, then where exactly is the line? Where does pre-human end and human begin?
Think about it this way. Your mother is human. Your grandmother, 100 generations human, 1,000 generations human.
But go back far enough and you reach a generation where the mother was not quite human, and the daughter was. Except that's not how evolution works. That moment never existed. There was no mother who was not human, who gave birth to the first human daughter. The change was so slow, so gradual, spread across so many thousands of generations that the line we are looking for simply does not exist. The grain of sand problem. Philosophers have a name for this problem. They call it the Sorites paradox. Here is the question. If you have a pile of sand and you remove one grain, is it still a pile? Yes. Remove another grain. Still a pile? Yes. Keep removing grains one at a time. At what exact moment does the pile stop being a pile? There is no answer, because there is no single grain that makes the difference. And that is exactly the problem with finding the first human. There is no single generation that made the difference. And yet somehow here we are, undeniably human, undeniably the product of that gradual, invisible becoming. So science did something remarkable. Instead of looking for the first human, it looked for the first mother. Mitochondrial Eve. University of California, Berkeley, 1987. 3 geneticists. Rebecca Cann, Mark Stoneking, and Alan Wilson are staring at data. They have collected mitochondrial DNA samples from 147 women from 5 different geographic populations: African, Asian, European, Australian, New Guinean. Women whose ancestors had been separated by oceans and continents for tens of thousands of years. Women who share almost nothing in common, except one thing: their mitochondrial DNA. All of it, every sample, every woman, every continent, traces back to the same place. What mitochondrial DNA is, before we go further, you need to understand one thing. Inside every cell in your body, there are two types of DNA. Nuclear DNA, which comes from both your parents. Half from your mother, half from your father, mixed together, scrambled, unique to you. But then there is mitochondrial DNA, and mitochondrial DNA is different. It comes only from your mother, not your father, only your mother. And she got it only from her mother, who got it only from her mother, who got it only from hers, all the way back, without mixing, without scrambling, passed down in an unbroken maternal chain, through every generation that has ever lived. Which means if you follow that chain back far enough, every woman alive today eventually leads to the same woman. Every woman alive today, every woman who has ever lived, traces her maternal line back to one woman. One. They called her Mitochondrial Eve. She lived approximately 150,000 to 200,000 years ago, almost certainly in sub-Saharan Africa. She was not the only woman alive. There were others around her, living alongside her, having children. But here is the extraordinary thing. Their lines died out, not because of catastrophe, not because of disease or disaster, simply because generation after generation, somewhere in their descendants, a line ended. A woman had no daughters, or her daughters had no daughters. But Mitochondrial Eve's line never broke, not once, not in 150,000 to 200,000 years, not through ice ages, not through migrations across continents, not through every war and famine and plague in human history. Her line held. Religion gave us a name, science gave us a date. But I kept coming back to the third question. Not who was the first woman, not when she lived, not what her DNA looked like, but what was it that made her human? What was the thing that separated her from everything that came before? What I actually wanted to know. What did she feel? What did she think about? Did she look at the stars and wonder what they were? Did she grieve when someone she loved died? Did she sit beside a fire at night and feel the same ache that every human being has ever felt? That ache of knowing you are alive and not knowing why. Because if she felt that, then she was already us. So let me ask the question differently. Instead of asking, who was the first human woman? What if we asked, what was the first human thing she ever did? Not the first time she walked upright. Science can tell us about that. Not the first time she used a tool. We have fossils for that. But the first time she did something that no animal before her had ever done. The first time she did something that could only be called human. That question has an answer, and it starts on a cave wall. For most of human history, we assumed cave art was made by men. Hunters, warriors, recording their victories. Then in 2013, archaeologist Dean Snow at Pennsylvania State University did something no one had thought to do before. He looked at the handprints themselves. Specifically, he measured the ratio between the index finger and the ring finger, a ratio that differs between biological males and females. He analyzed handprints in ancient caves across Europe and the Americas, caves that were between 12,000 and 40,000 years old. His conclusion? Approximately 75% of the handprints were made by women. The first artists in human history were almost certainly women. She was not background. She was not supporting caste. She was not simply surviving while the men made history. She was making history. On the walls, with her own hands, in the dark, because she had something to say. She believed her existence was worth recording. She believed that someone, someday, would care that she had been here. And she was right. Because here we are. 40,000 years later, still looking at her hand, still caring. So, 3 answers. Religion says she was created, with purpose, with a name, with intention. Science says she emerged gradually, over hundreds of thousands of years, and her DNA is inside every one of us right now. And the third answer, the one I keep coming back to, is that she was simply the first person who felt something so deeply that she had to leave a mark. And here's the thing. None of these 3 answers cancel each other out. Maybe she was created, and she evolved. Maybe she had a name and a genome. Maybe faith and science have been describing the same woman from 2 different distances. But the third answer is the one that doesn't need you to choose. Because it's not about where she came from. It's about what she did once she got here. She wondered. She loved. She left something behind for people she would never meet. That's not just her story. That's yours too. So I'll ask you what I asked myself. Religion, science, or something else? Which answer feels true to you? And why? Tell me below. I read every comment. I want to know what you think. Drop your answer in the comments. Religion, science, or the third one. And if you disagree with me, especially if you disagree with me, I want to hear it. That's kind of the whole point. If this video made you think there's another question waiting for you in the next video of Humanity's Oldest, I'll see you there. Kindly like, share, and subscribe.